You're listening to The Universal Family,
a podcast about our love for Universal Orlando.
This is episode 3, where we discuss our favorite Citywalk eats
and other Universal news.
Time for this adventure
And this podcast
to begin.
That's how we should have started the episode.
We're probably recording already. That would have been awesome.
Well, welcome to the Universal Family Podcast.
Crack a drink. Podcast starts.
Okay, let's do it. Ready?
Now you're stealing my thunder.
That's how it starts.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Universal Family Podcast, episode 3. I am Brian. Just as a quick recap, the father of the family.
I'm Tayan.
I'm Zine.
And I'm Laura, the mother of the family.
Perfect. So, I hope you guys have been enjoying our podcast. We've had 2 episodes. Please, if you haven't heard those, go back and check those out. Follow us wherever you listen to podcasts, all that good stuff. We have a couple of interesting things to talk about in episode 3. The first of which is we are going to talk about our favorite Citywalk restaurants. Citywalk is the hub of Universal, kind of. I mean, what would you guys call it?
It's like the normal area. Like, it's like kind of, it's just like restaurants and stuff, and it's free to the public. It's not like you need a ticket to go there.
Yeah, a lot of shops, restaurants. We've eaten at almost all the restaurants there. So before we start talking about our favorite ones, I want to say the ones we have not eaten at. And I just mean of sit-down restaurants. I'm sure there's some fast casuals that we have not eaten at.
Oh, yeah, like Burger King and stuff.
Well, we have eaten at that one, actually.
Oh, I've never eaten
Whopper
what's the panda place called?
Panda Express. You've eaten there, too, actually.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, we got you that one night. It was really late. You were cranky, and we got you some orange chicken or something. But we have never eaten at Bubba Gump Shrimp. And I never plan to eat a Bubba Gump Shrimp.
He just don't like shrimp.
We haven't eaten at Vivo, Italian restaurant.
Oh, I want to eat there.
I feel like we will do that. There's a couple of restaurants we haven't eaten at, but overall, we've eaten at everywhere in Citywalk.
What about the Mexican restaurant?
Yeah, we've not eaten there. The Hennings ate there with their family one time when we were there. They're fans of that, but I don't recall us eating at the Mexican restaurant.
No, we never have.
All right, so add that one to it. So Antojitos, authentic Mexican. Yep. So we've never eaten there. We've never eaten at Bubba Gump, and we've never eaten at Vivo Italian. But other than that, we've eaten at a lot of places in Citywalk.
Yeah.
We've also never eaten at Pat O'Brien's, but we did have some hurricanes there.
Right, I count that. Yeah, we've dined there in some format. So as we talk about our top 3 favorite Citywalk eats, are we counting fast service in this list, or is this strictly okay? So
whatever you want.
So
Wait, what? I'm confused.
Anything with food.
If Citywalk
Except,
Burger
like,
King is your favorite, you can
it doesn't have to be
Except
sit-down
Voodoo
restaurant.
Donuts and stuff. I think that's silly.
Voodoo Donuts is quick
I don't know.
service
That's
too.
not a restaurant.
I mean, that's up to whoever, I guess. It's going to be just who's ever listed is whatever you like eating in Citywalk, your top 3 places.
Cool.
So let's kick it off. We'll just start with somebody. What is your number 3? Go ahead, Dan.
My number 3 is Voodoo Donuts.
Good thing it counts.
Does anybody else have
I
Voodoo
definitely do
on
think
their
it counts.
list? Well, tell us about Voodoo Donuts.
I didn't really think of it as an option before, but
I definitely think it's an option. I mean, it's good. I don't know. I like the other 2 better, obviously, but I've only eaten there like twice. But it's legendary.
Which donut is your favorite?
Probably the cookies and cream one. I know I had a peanut butter bacon one, and that one was. I don't like peanut butter and bacon stuff, but the Oreo one was good.
I'm not a fan of peanut butter on anything, but I know it's very popular.
I do like Voodoo Donuts.
It's in no one's top 3 though.
And no, it didn't make my top 3. I mean, I really do like it. And
Come on,
almost
it's
everything
legendary.
I've had there is good. Their featured donuts have been always pretty consistently good when we've had those.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love donuts. Don't get me wrong. But personally, a Krispy Kreme is about all this man needs to be happy.
That's
in the donut
true.
world. All right, so that's number 3 on Tan's list. Zine, what's number 3 on your list?
My number 3 is Hard Rock Cafe.
Interesting.
And it's not just for the food, and the food is mid, but the whole like area I love, like the memorabilia and stuff. It's always fun to look at stuff like that.
Yeah.
What is your favorite memorabilia that you've seen in Hard Rock
I remember
Cafe?
I saw it was right after the movie Bohemian Rhapsody came out, and there was this one outfit that Freddie Mercury wore that I was like, wow, that's really cool, and they happened to have it right
That's cool.
after I saw it.
Do you remember what's in the basement near the
Yeah,
bathrooms?
there was a Rocky Horror.
Yeah, that's
not really
the
memorabilia.
underwear?
it's pretty awesome. It's a huge frame like collage of behind the scene photos from filming of Rocky Horror.
That's awesome.
I would
It's
love
really
to go
cool.
in there when the restaurant isn't open and just look at everything. Because it's very difficult when it's full of people. I mean, you can't just be like, excuse me,
Do whatever your heart
move your
desires.
hamburger out of the way. I need to see this thing on the wall. But that's also my number 3.
Really?
Hard Rock
Oh,
Cafe.
interesting.
Yes, I love it. It is probably the biggest restaurant I've ever seen. Like, it fascinates me how huge it is. I wonder how many kitchens there are and how many different like sections of wait
It's
staff.
the biggest one in the world, they said.
the biggest Hard Rock restaurant in the world.
Cafe,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember waiting quite a while to get in there a long time ago when there weren't as many restaurants. Eating in the Elvis room is pretty epic. And then the last time we were there, which was a few years ago now, there was this big wall that was all this interactive screen, like an enormous well, kind of like what we have in the library now, where you can just kind of like move things around and search, like just all of the memorabilia of the world just on this screen.
Yeah, it was like a interactive memorabilia search. It was really cool. What's your guys' favorite? Is it not on your list? So it's just the two of you. What is your favorite dining spot in the Hard Rock?
I've eaten there once.
I've eaten there more than that.
I mean, maybe when I was like a little
She said
baby.
Elvis, right?
Yeah, I
You
really
like
like the Elvis room. And I mean, he's not like my favorite artist, but it just seems pretty epic to be in there. With
I
all his
personally
stuff.
really love the CBGB's room with all the old New York Talking Head stuff,
Oh yeah.
Blondie stuff in there. I mean, it's great. CBGB's eating area
And the
is
big
my favorite.
floating car is really cool.
Yeah.
The pink car.
Cool. All right, Lara, what's
And
your
what
number?
about the food? The food's
sorry.
really good too. I usually just get a hamburger when I'm at Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah, there's nothing like legendary there. It's all just like the basics.
I enjoy the food. I mean, I would consider it slightly better than your typical chain restaurant experience, but the environment's nice. The food's pretty good. I enjoy it. I'm not saying I don't like going there, but there's definitely other places I would rather go. But, all right.
Well, it's number 3.
That was number 3 on your
Yeah.
list? All right, so that means my number 3. My number 3 actually is a place we just went recently. It is also quick service, and that is the Bend the Bow, which I found quite delicious. Did you guys have... Zine, you had some of that with me.
Yeah, I was going to put it in my top 3, but I mean, it is really, really good. I did love it, but I don't know. It just didn't make the board.
I like having one option on my list of just like if I'm in a pinch and want to get something quick to eat. I think that's
definitely a good option.
I think so too.
Yeah, but with all the places that you have to go sit down and have a meal, I mean, how could your top 3 be something that you walk up when you're tired and just get out of a window?
So I guess what I was thinking was if I had to like get rid of all restaurants in Citywalk except for 3, here's the 3 that I would leave myself with. And in that scenario, I'd want a quick option to be in there.
Tane and I didn't eat bao bun last time we were there.
I
You
ate
guys
one.
went there. I think I ate a bite, but we went to the hot dog place instead.
Oh yeah.
And that's not on anybody's list, maybe.
I
But
thought about putting that on my list, but the thing about it is that like the hot dogs, they were good, but it like they only hit the spot because I was just like really hungry.
You're talking about the Hot Dog Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Which is a really cute spot if you guys haven't seen it. It has like stadium seats. It's all outside. They have hot dogs represented from different areas, Chicago, Midwest.
yeah,
things
so
like that.
I wanted to note here that we talked about in episode 1 how much we enjoyed being in the parks at night and how that was unusual for us. And one thing that led to was late nights where we hadn't eaten yet and we're like starving. The park is closing and we don't have reservations because we didn't really plan it out. And so one of those nights we ended up eating these hot dogs and bao buns for dinner. So we were a little bit past our normal hunger by then.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, you kicked us off. So we're round to number 2. What's on your number 2?
My number 2 is the Toothsome Chocolate Emporium.
Nice.
That makes my list, actually. That is my... Gosh, where did I put that? Oh, I put that as my number 1.
That is my number 2.
That is my number 2.
Interesting.
There we
So
go.
it's on everyone's number 2 except for mine is number 1. So that's interesting. We all love this place, apparently.
Now, what I really think is interesting is that it isn't number 1 for all of us. Like, you would
It's
think
number
that it
1 for
would
Dad.
be.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it is
mean,
number
but for everybody, it's just, you would think
Oh,
that would
right.
be number 1.
This is what Toothsome broke my was the deal breaker for Bend the Bow or this, because I was like, I want both to be on there, but like pick one. So I obviously picked Toothsome because
I got you. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, if I was choosing between those two, I'm definitely taking Toothsome. Amazing restaurant inside. I mean, I think environment has a lot to do with this one.
yeah,
don't
that's
you?
Yeah.
what made me put it on my list.
The food is definitely better than normal. I mean, it's good food. Definitely better than Hard Rock.
Do you remember before it was there?
The NBA Cafe.
Yeah, so the NBA Cafe was there.
Which also had really good food, honestly.
It was pretty good. And there was a lot of basketball next to it that you could play, which I think is still there.
No.
Is there basketball there still?
No, definitely not.
But when they started building it, we were like, what the heck are they doing? This thing is huge and really weird.
Yeah, I mean, you're at a theme park. You want a big design. They have definitely accomplished that with Toothsome. Just from the outside, even, it makes you want to come in. It looks like Willy Wonka from the outside. Once you get inside, there's costuming and big digital walls, and it's great.
So last time we were talking, we used those letters IP. I'm assuming that means intellectual property.
Yes.
And this is an example of one that does not have one. Right? Like, so somebody just invented this out of thin air, right? Like, it doesn't come from anywhere that I know of.
And I'm glad they did it that way. I mean, that
it reminds you of Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
It's got a super steampunk theme inside that goes all the way through. So
yes.
Why is it your number 2 for both of you?
Well, it's my number 2 strictly, honestly, because of desserts. Because I don't think the food is amazing. I would say probably Mbc Cafe or whatever it's called is better food than that, but that just goes to show how good all the desserts are, because they really are that good. Like, that bumps it up on my list like 2 tiers.
I do love their bread pudding. It's pretty delicious. Zine, why is it your number 2?
I don't really know. I do like it. I love the looks of it too. That's like my main thing, and like the idea of like the steampunk vibe is cool, and the food is good.
For me, it's all about the atmosphere. Like, there's good food in every restaurant. And I do kind of like, it's kind of cool how they work chocolate into so many of the entrees.
Yeah.
And the desserts are incredibly beautiful and, fun to eat. But, I mean, I just love being in there. Like, the walls are all, like, there are screens in there, too, that just look like they're making chocolate. There's, like, big towers of chocolate on the outside. And then there are people that walk around that are... Like, there's a total steampunk robot accompanied by a lady that's in a full dress, and they're fully in character, and they just come and talk to you. It's a really cool experience.
And, like, seeing the waiters and waitresses come on, like, up and down the glass elevators is cool. Mm-hmm. And, like, the dark atmosphere is cool.
Yeah. And I think it's cool how they have a whole section at the front of the restaurant for people waiting in line just for milkshakes.
Thank God. And those milkshakes look crazy. I've had them a couple of times. Not very impressed of the milkshakes.
What?
It's just a milkshake.
It's just
that's the reason it's in my number 2.
No, it's the looks that are getting you.
Yes.
Or the desserts.
The milkshakes.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the milkshakes.
But there's a dessert on top of the milkshake.
Yeah, but like it's just I don't know. I was not impressed with the milkshakes. They look amazing, and I think that's very cool. It's definitely
They're very
a show.
Postable.
Yeah, definitely like Instagram worthy desserts.
They're so postable. That's a new word for me too, but they're so postable that it almost makes you kind of feel like you're being taken advantage of. Like, we're giving you this incredible cup with an incredible dessert on top of it. Just show that to your family. Make them come here. Like, all your friends and family should want this.
It's funny you mentioned that cup. They serve them in plastic mason jar looking cups, and we've brought those home after every trip that we went to Tucson, and they end up in the dishwasher, and every time they just melt into nothing. So as many times as we bring them home.
But even before that, they end up by the sink in our hotel room, and now you've got this like cup that's covered with this like oily grossness. Milk. And I'm always like, guys, can we just throw this away? And you're always like, no,
it's
we have to keep it.
It's not worth it at all. It's not cute. It's not like we're ever going to use it again.
Right.
It's not like we have room for it.
Yeah, and then we bring it home and apparently every time melt it in the dishwasher.
Every time.
So don't put them in the dishwasher if you want to keep it.
Also, it's not to smell, it's cute because it just gets smaller.
I think it's cool.
All right, so my number 2, because all of you had Toothsome as your number 2, was a place we went to for the first time, actually, on our last trip, which was the Mbc Sports Grill. Mm-hmm. I really like that atmosphere. This might fall off my list in time, but after our first experience, I really enjoyed what I had. I enjoyed the atmosphere. I'm excited to go back and try other things off the menu. So at this time, it's high on my list at least.
I had an awful experience there.
I know you did.
Yeah, my pork was very dry. Do not order the barbecue pork sandwich. It's
I've heard more from this kid about his dry, non-sauced pork since this trip than I think.
yeah, there wasn't barbecue sauce on it.
Well, there's not always barbecue sauce on barbecue pork.
It said there would be.
I know. It was definitely a mistake. You're right.
And so I wanted to mention here that it's possible you're viewing this restaurant through rose-colored glasses, because this was another night that we had no plan, and we didn't know what we were going to do. And we ended up changing that reservation like twice, and we got there at like 10:30 p.m.
It was late.
And I was just sitting there, and I was so tired, and I was thinking, how are we eating at 11? Like, seems so wrong for our bodies.
But so much of what we had was good. I mean,
it was good.
Zine's pork sandwich aside, I think most of us enjoyed everything we ordered that night. And like I said, the menu's large enough that next time I go back, I will definitely order something else and see how it stacks up. So maybe this won't stay as my number 2, but for now, that's my number 2.
If this was top 4, that would definitely be my 4.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I liked it a lot.
Bin the Bow would be my 4.
Laura, go ahead. What would be your 4?
If this was a up and coming, it would have been my up and coming. Like,
nice.
I've only been there once. I can't really rank it in my top 3.
Has potential.
Yeah.
All right. So back around to Tan, we are at our number 1 spot.
My number 1, no surprise, is probably Margaritaville.
Me too.
That's your number 1?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I was expecting.
It's not
that
your
might-
number 1, Mom?
It is also my number
Oh
3.
my
you go.
gosh, you guys are so in
It's
sync.
great.
The food is like probably the best there, even though there's like the red fireplace and cowfish that are like gourmet crazy. I definitely think that Margaritaville is like the best. The
So,
atmosphere is crazy. There's
let me-
music playing.
I'm going to interrupt you just for a second because of what you just said. You said Big Fire, like gourmet crazy.
Yes.
That would have possibly made my list because I did have a good meal at Big Fire, and it is fine. But I don't think it's nearly as good as it's billed to be. Emerald's, who was there before, that was some of our favorite dining experiences at Universal before.
That was fancy.
That was
The
good.
thing is like things like Big Fire and like maybe not cowfish, but things like Big Fire are like basic. Like I like the things that are like something
Themed
you don't
better?
get somewhere
Yeah.
else. Like you don't see a Hard Rock Cafe down your neighborhood road.
The
you know?
theming is a big aspect of what makes a good Citywalk restaurant,
Right.
and I don't think Big Fire has the best.
That's interesting because, I mean, we
Theming.
are a family that travels to cities strictly to eat. I mean, we go Chicago, New York, other areas specifically to eat at restaurants. So we do like food, but it seems that when at Universal,
we
what
just
we're
want
looking for-
hamburgers
Right,
and dried
our
pork.
standards changes a little bit. We want,
I mean, because we're at a theme park.
right. We want theme. We really want the environment. We want to have a show. We want an experience.
Yeah.
And we want the food to be good. It is not going to be the best meals we eat, and we accept that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why places like Big Fire don't make my list, is because I have definitely better versions of that food elsewhere.
Yeah.
And there's no theming around it that makes me want to go, so it doesn't make my list.
Yeah.
But back to Margaritaville.
But let's get
Sorry.
back to Margaritaville.
Yeah. So tell us
It's
more
number
about
1 for
Margaritaville.
3 of us.
I love that. We used to go there a
So
lot.
yeah, so for me, it's my number 1, and it wouldn't have been my number 1 a couple of years ago because I was kind of over it. But now that Tayan is back into it and Zine likes it, I'm like, oh yeah, I love this place.
It's such a good vibe.
Yeah,
and, like,
the vibe
food
is incredible.
great. I
When-
just love it.
Back before you kids were born, we really liked Jimmy Buffett, and it was like at least 10% of why we were excited to go to Universal just to be at that Margaritaville. So I was just overwhelmed with it every time we were there. I would just go inside. I was like, I can't believe we're eating at Margaritaville. This is so cool. There's a bear with a still up here in the ceiling. There's a volcano that's getting ready to explode. You know, I ordered margaritas.
The onion rings
I
came
love-
on that big like metal plane.
I think so.
We had many a Thanksgiving dinner at Margaritaville, like many times.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
What?
Yeah, like 4 or 5 years in a row,
Why?
we had our Thanksgiving dinners at
We should do
Margaritaville. Yeah, you've done it. You just don't remember. But yeah, and we spent a lot of time at Margaritaville. I love it.
It's just
and I
such
still
a
do.
vibe.
It is. I
It's
get
really
that.
nice in there.
There's almost always live music, which I think is really cool. Out on the patio
And I have
is nice.
so many memories in there of being with various parts of our family and friends and
Yep.
different parts of the restaurant. And now we're starting to make brand new ones with our teenage kids that love it.
Anything else
And
on Margaritaville?
I also like to get the hamburger there.
Yeah, hamburgers are always good. They do have a good cheeseburger in Paradise at Margaritaville.
And Jackson would love the steak and peas.
I do love
Steak and
the
asparagus.
bar. What's the bar called?
Lone Palm.
The Lone Palm
Island.
I do love the Lone Palm bar. I didn't know until Zine had told me a couple of years ago There's obviously Jimmy Buffett's seaplane there. I always thought that was just a replica, and then one day Zine chimes in that that's the actual Jamaica Mistake plane with bullet holes. Yeah, so now I love it even more to sit there and think that's actually the...
Like, he sat in that plane and, like, wrote a song about it.
Yeah, there's bullet holes
And,
there.
yeah, you can see the bullet holes, like, the patches that go over it.
And
So-
I can't believe we didn't know that
I
when
didn't
we were
either.
the most obsessed with eating at Margaritaville that we didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim Trekker.
For that little tidbit, yeah. So even if you aren't a Jimmy Buffett fan, the Lone Palm is a neat little nugget of Jimmy Buffett history to sit there, order a delicious drink, see this plane that Buffett flew himself, shot out of the plane, or shut down.
Jeez.
He wasn't shot out of the plane, but the plane was shot at with Bono in it, which I think is also interesting. A great song came from that.
And you can
there's
order
that-
quite a bit of food there, too.
Yeah, you can eat there too. It's a great spot to set.
And
Those high
when we
tops are on
sat
the
there
back.
this last time, when we didn't actually end up eating there because we got our table at the restaurant, but the waitress was like, "I love your t-shirt," and she was referring to that very cool, like, off-brand t-shirt that we made before we went with the old-fashioned
Islands of Adventure
logo.
shirts, yep.
And I thought that was so cool that she was like, "Was that from, like, back in the 90s?" I was like, "No, we just made it."
It was originally, but we've
Yeah.
reproduced it ourselves for our own benefit. All right, so that was everyone's list because Toothsome was my number one, which we already talked about. Margaritaville was all of your number ones. So I'm curious, after that conversation and hearing everything, is it possible that someone's opinion has changed of what their number one would be? So what we're going to do is I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, and then everyone say what their number one restaurant is. If it's the same one, that's fine. If it's changed, that's fine too. I'm just curious, now that we've had this conversation and talked about it more, if anyone has a different perspective. So here we go. After that, our number one restaurant in Citywalk is 3, 2, 1.
Margaritaville.
Yeah, you guys convinced
We
me.
convinced you.
Yeah, I mean, I have such many good memories there that you guys really did change my mind. I mean, I love Toothsome, don't get me wrong. I'll move Toothsome down to my number 2 spot, kick out my Mbc
Meaning all
Grill.
of ours are Toothsome for number 2.
Yeah, I think we've... Yeah, you're right.
Wait.
So now it's
Oh,
just
no.
our number 3s are different. So everyone now shares a number 2 and a number 1 spot. But yeah, you guys persuaded me. I do enjoy Margaritaville. I'm always happy with my meals there. It's always a good time. And we have tons of good memories, so that should count for something.
Yeah.
And you can always make more there.
We will.
All right.
My number 3 changed. I think it's been the Bow now.
Okay.
Because
What
Hard
was it?
Rock
What was it
Cafe-
before?
Hard
Okay,
Rock. But the Hard Rock Cafe, I've been there once, and the food is, like, not that good. I mean, it's good, but it's not, like, top 3 restaurant worthy.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
is
So
a
I'm
great
going to say
scene.
Bin the Bow.
Okay, that's fine.
And I don't have another quick restaurant on there.
Oh, that's good.
And it's also, to say, it's really fun watching them make the...
The bows.
Yeah.
It really is. They've got a system. It's pretty impressive.
If I had to have a quick restaurant on there, I would pick the hot dog place.
Yeah, me-
And I
well,
actually
I guess I
didn't
picked
eat there
Voodoo
this last
Donuts.
time. I was just like exhausted. I was like, I'm just not going to eat anything. But that's where I know I would like it.
All right, actually, I want to change my number one.
Ooh, all right. What's it going to be?
I'm gonna change.
Time for the news, headlines, national coverage. So don't screw this up.
All right, time for the news. 2 escape rooms are being built in Citywalk. Now, this was previously just a rumor, but it officially came out just the other day that Universal's great movie Escape, 2 extraordinary escape adventures inspired by Jurassic World and Back to the Future, is coming to Universal Citywalk this fall.
And that's going where exactly?
It is rumored and believed that it is going into where the Groove was, which was a dance club,
Up on the
because
second
there is
level.
construction happening there, and it says that it's coming this fall, so
I think this is
it's
awesome.
underway.
I'm
so excited.
I'm super excited.
I don't know how we haven't thought about escape room being there before. Maybe we have.
Oh, I definitely have. So I will say that Mom and I did an escape room once in Philadelphia with our friends Jess and Christina that was designed by someone who used to work in pre-production at Universal. So I remember talking to them about it, and it was definitely one of the most like thematically well done. It felt like you were in a queue at a theme park. So the idea that Universal themselves would take on their production level quality of doing an escape room, it's going to be awesome.
So I'm just going to throw in there that we love escape. You might have guessed this, but we love escape rooms. We've done them all over the place.
With the Hennings.
I've never really thought about doing
Wait,
this.
that's a perfect point. We do escape rooms with the Hennings all the time, and we also go to Universal with them.
Oh,
so
there's-
now we're going to do a Universal
For sure.
themed escape room. That's
How
crazy.
long is it gonna be there?
My prediction. I mean, they're putting 2 in right
They're
now.
if they're putting Jurassic World in because for the new movie, maybe they'll change that out every once in a while.
I mean, I think like traditional, I mean, except for probably longer, a traditional escape room place will change theirs out kind of regularly because their market is smaller.
Yeah.
But Universal's not going to change them out that fast because they have a huge market of people vacationing, coming in and out all the time. So I think they'll last a while.
I'm afraid that this might be in the category for us, though, of like the mini golf.
No.
Like, who has time to do an escape room while you're at
No.
Universal? You
We're
just want
gonna
to be out there.
I feel
I
like
hate
we're
mini
gonna
golf.
eat dinner and then go do
Go
an
to an
escape room.
escape room.
I would feel that it becomes one of my priorities. I would definitely leave the park early to go do an escape room.
I have a point to make.
Sure.
How are they going to like control the people? Like,
Yeah,
do
do
you
you
think people
think
are gonna
that-
have to get reservations and stuff?
And do you think
We
they're gonna
always
have to
do
make
now.
multiple?
Yes, my guess is there'll be more than one room of each
Oh
kind.
yeah. Like
I mean, that's a big space.
Our time limit for each party, there's no way that
No.
people
You'd
would
have
be
to
able
schedule
do
like
it.
days ahead.
Yeah.
Probably. But my guess is they'll build 3 or 4 versions of each of these
Hopefully it
rooms.
stays a long time because like we're gonna have to like set a reservation really early.
Have they listed when they plan on opening it?
No, like this statement that I just read is literally all that they have so far, and it just came out.
It shouldn't take them that long. It's not like building a roller coaster.
Oh, no.
I mean, it shouldn't take them very long. They have the
But
rights
you're
all
saying they
worked
need
out.
to build at least 4 of each room, too.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure they have most of that figured out if they've already started
It's
construction.
like building a hotel. You just got to get the same thing.
My God, it's going to be a Back to the Future escape room.
Yeah,
it's like a
what do you
dream come
think
true.
what do you think the story's gonna be about? I've been thinking about
And it's
it.
not just a knockoff either. It's like
Totally
the Back to the Future.
licensed.
Yeah, totally. Like my
It's
guess,
not like time travel.
right. We did a license at the time, Ghostbusters escape room in D.C. And it was one of the best I've ever done. It's since lost its licensing and they've rebranded whatever. But having that license, like you were saying, Back to the Future, is going to make it extra special. I could easily see a storyline where Marty and Doc are stuck in the future or the past somewhere. They've somehow communicated back to Doc's lab. You're in the lab looking for stuff to help them get back to the time they need. I could see that.
What
being
if we
the story.
predicted the entire thing just now?
What if you did?
That would be scary.
That'd be
I
crazy.
feel like maybe they could also do like a thing where you go back in time or in the future. Maybe like you go to the 2015.
Yeah, what if the first room is like current day, and then the next room is like
you have to like build something
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
in his old in his older new garage
That would be cool. Yeah.
help you.
It sounds like maybe you guys should work for these people.
Maybe we should.
Dream
Maybe
come
we should
true.
make them.
that is my dream.
What do you think the Jurassic World one's gonna be about? That one's really I don't even know.
That one seems a lot more. I see more possibilities there, and I don't really know how to tap into.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be finding the dino DNA. Or,
Yeah.
Escape from the dinosaur.
Yeah, maybe like
Oh,
a
yeah.
dinosaur is like banging on the door or something.
Yeah, like maybe it's like the dinosaurs are. You locked yourself into a security room. The dinosaurs are on the loose. They've locked you in, but you've got to find a way to bypass the security and get out before the dinosaurs get to you, or something like that.
I know we haven't done Horror Nights ever, but you know how they like rebrand stuff? They could easily do Halloween Horror Nights themed escape rooms and like remake them for Halloween Horror Nights. That'd be awesome.
Too scary.
That'd
Not
be
in an
awesome.
escape situation.
I just love that they're getting into this. I think so many possibilities.
They're a little late on the trend, but
I'm kind of worried about that too. Like I actually thought about that. I was like, why did it take them this long?
Yeah.
They're
to
going to
come
have
up
to make
this?
them 10 times better than what
I think
they
will.
we'll
definitely
have
will.
everywhere
I think-
else.
I mean, I just
They'll
picture-
come through.
I think so. I mean, I picture their level of production. I mean, just think about the time
rides
and care-
alone,
right?
like how they could take that. I don't know.
Like the time they seem to put into tribute stores, which people seem to love.
Right.
I mean, that same level of detail put into an escape room,
Mm-hmm.
they'll have us hooked. Now, what do you think they'll charge for these escape rooms? I mean,
Oh my
You guys
god, I
have a better
didn't think
idea on
about
that.
that.
I mean,
How
escape
much is a
rooms-
normal escape
yeah,
room?
Like 25, 30 is
Per person?
Per person is the normal.
Oh, per person?
It's gonna be 200 more.
Wait, what do you mean? Like when we go with the Hennings, is that per person, meaning we're spending $30 for
Per
like
person.
me and then Tayan, and
Yes,
that's too much.
that's the way it always is.
We should never do an escape room ever again.
I love them. What
we
are you
should make
talking
our own
about?
escape room.
We did.
I'm gonna calculate
yeah.
how much that would be.
You can do that in your head.
240 for all of us, like the Hennings
Yeah,
and us, just to do one.
that's about right.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But think about Universal, it's probably gonna be like $50 a person. So for all of us to do
$50 a
it,
person,
it's
Zane?
gonna be $400.
I think 50 is too
30
much. I think they're in the 40 to 45 range.
Are you
is my
kidding?
Guess. I really think it will be.
Bro,
they
it's
can't
going
do
from
50.
30 to 50. 30
I don't
for
know.
like a for like a normal escape room, and then for Back to the Future and Jurassic World, you're saying it's going to be $50.
They can't go much higher than that because, I mean, what does it cost to go to Volcano Bay? Like $80 or something, right?
85.
So they can't get close to that level because that's how much you're charging to go into a whole
I guess you're right.
park.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
And
1
it's
hour.
for an hour.
Yeah. $40 to $45, I think, is very reasonable.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Still,
more than that. It's
either
going to be
way,
like
that's a
60 or
lot.
70, I think.
It's just another thing to get you to hang out in Citywalk and buy food and buy drinks and spend more money, too. So they don't need to charge, like, an astronomical amount for it.
I think it's going to be very popular, though. And then maybe they'll up the price or something.
Well, hopefully we'll get a chance to do some kind of annual pass holder preview thing because
That'd be awesome.
love to go
We
do
need to start
one
planning a new
as
trip.
soon as possible. All right, what else is in the news?
Okay. So, an interesting piece of news. Internal Universal documents indicate that Fast and the Furious ride is poorly rated. Vice President of Attraction Development Design and Executive Project Director of Epic Universe, Charlie Gundaker, stated under oath last month that Fast and Furious Supercharged is a poorly rated ride, scoring only 3.81 on a scale of 0 to 10.
So this is some weird news. When this came out this week, I immediately asked some of my legal buddies to help pull the court documents, and we went through the whole docket trying to pull the depositions, and I've now read most of that deposition.
So tell us, why is Mr. Gundaker under oath talking about the quality of Fast and Furious?
It's a long story. It comes back to some lawsuit between the original Fallon ride makers, and they let them go, and there was a change, and through the deposition of them talking about that, it came out about this ride ranking list. I've since spent most of the week trying to find this ride ranking list.
That would be really cool to look
I
at.
want it so bad.
Why can't you find it?
It's not been filed yet as part of the court docket. They brought it up in the deposition. They showed it to him. It is like prosecution's exhibit number 8. I have some good information about it, but it's just not in there yet. If this ever goes past where it's at now with doing depositions and filings to the court, if this ever does go to trial, then at that point it become record of the court, and we could see it then. But one, are we surprised in any way that Fast and Furious is a 3.8?
You've been saying over and over again that it's 3, and I thought that was fair, but 3.8, that's a little high.
I was going to say that too. You said 3.8,
Seriously.
like, it doesn't deserve that
like 0.8. No.
Well, if it's a score of 0 to 10, that gives it a 38%.
Ooh, that's bad, actually.
That's like if you got a 38%
but also,
on your test.
what you didn't say, or I don't know if you said or not, but Jimmy Fallon is like a 5 or something?
Right, so that's also in the deposition that
Because
Jimmy
they were
Fallon's
comparing
a 5. Or he actually doesn't say the number 5, he just says that it comes in the middle. So 5 is the middle of 10, so it's somewhere around the 5 area. So about the 3.8, though, we don't really know how bad that is until we can see how many rides are in the 5+ range.
Right.
Like, it's possible that every ride is 5 or better, and then if Fast and the Furious is the only less than 4 ride, that's bad. We don't know what it is. That's why I want to see that.
I want to see it so bad.
Well, for a minute, let's talk about that rating system. Let's say, so Tayan, what's a ride that you would give a 10 if you were doing the survey?
I would think that Hagrid's almost has to be a 10. Newer rides are going to be very high up, and then Hagrid's is regarded one of the best rides of all time.
It's probably at the top of their list. Or Velocicoaster.
Velocicoaster and Hagrid's has to be a 10.
Yeah, I would think any of the rides of a newer IP or any Harry Potter ride is going to rank incredibly high. It's just going to naturally. Newer rides naturally. What I'm really curious about is where do old rides stack up?
Yeah, I was just thinking about Spider-Man. Back in the day,
E.T.
that would have been a 10, but now. Where would it be? Probably a 7 or 8. Probably.
One day we're going to get our hands on this list. I'm determined.
We'll have an episode about
it'll be so good. So a couple of other little fun things that I found as I read this deposition, which I don't know why it's interesting, but 150 pages of deposition about ride development and project management. It was interesting to me. But one thing, they talked about their blue sky phase of their project, which I thought was really cool. He talked about the blue sky phase, which from what I could gather from the deposition was blue sky means the world is the possibility. We know we want to make a Fallon ride, but what will that Fallon ride look like? The sky, right? The sky's the limit.
The sky's the limit phase.
Right. It can be anything.
Like where you bring up a huge whiteboard and everybody's putting their ideas on it and nothing is shot down yet.
Exactly. So they talk about in Fallon, the original idea that he referenced, or that they referenced, was a 60-passenger hot air balloon simulation ride was going through New York. Was one of their initial blue sky discussions around Jimmy Fallon. I'm just curious what you guys think of that.
That's lame.
But
I mean,
what it is now is also lame.
Yeah, that's what I was
Right.
going to say. I can't imagine anything more
The
lame,
hot air
but that
balloon
is
would be
pretty
more
lame.
realistic.
I wonder if the hot air balloon, because they say 60 passengers, so that makes me think it's something larger, which makes me think of Kong. So I think, if it was that kind of car system where that was the hot air balloon and you were surrounded floor to ceiling on all sides by screen of New York going through,
Right.
that could definitely be a different experience. That could,
It would be a standing thing, though.
What?
I think it would be.
Ooh.
I think
You
it would be
might
more
probably-
like the Gringotts elevator thing, where it's like everyone's standing in a big room and it's like shaking.
No, you
and
can't
there's,
do that
like,
because that's not going to be a
screens.
ride through New York.
How would the people in the middle of the air
Oh
balloon
yeah, that would be
see?
sad.
Just
I
like you
can
do in
see.
King Kong.
King Kong is not.
Well, yeah, it is difficult to see
Maybe
if you're
this
in
is
the
why
middle.
they canceled it.
Because
Yeah,
if
it
you're
moved
on
on
the
to something
edge,
else, right.
if you're on the edge of the hot air balloon, you can kind of stand there and lean over a little bit and see what's down below. But if you're in the middle, you can't see
Or maybe-
anything.
It's not down below. There
It
wouldn't
would-
be any down below. It would all just be out on the edges.
Maybe
buildings
they
in
would
the
be on the edges of the box, and then in the center would be like Jimmy Fallon, like a hologram.
Like, how would that be a ride though? It like that's why it'd have to be like, kind of more of an experience because
So
a
that-
hot air balloon would not be a ride.
The experience got me thinking about what that ride did become. And I personally think that the line queue area for Fallon is better than the ride itself. But then I started thinking about, I wonder if it was ever discussed, and maybe that's what they had hoped with the virtual line, because it kind of is. But if it was more of like a full experience like Hitchcock used to be, where it was like multiple areas and phases of the ride, where you would go in and learn about the history of the Tonight Show, look at exhibits, things like that, how they filmed the Tonight Show, whatever. And then you move to the next area, and then you learn about that, and then it ended with a ride.
Yeah.
That sounds cool, and that's kind of what they were going for.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks just like 30 Rock or Rock Center in there. I mean, the hallways are
Oh
much,
yeah,
much
the
smaller, but
building
it looks
inside
exactly
is
like it.
incredible.
The queue.
Yeah,
So
that's
the way
my
the queue-
favorite.
Yeah.
The way the queue system works is, and remind me if I'm wrong, because this last time we went,
Yeah,
they didn't
this
have
didn't
it
happen.
because there wasn't much of a line.
The past 2 times we went, it hasn't happened.
But normally, if there are a lot of people, they give you a color when you go in. Your whole family gets the same color. It's a ticket. And then you go and you just hang out in this big area with like screens to play with. There's benches to sit on. There's
Hashtag
things
the
to look
panda.
at. Hashtag the panda comes
the,
out.
What's it called? The Tailors. What's it called?
The barbershop quartet.
Yes.
Yeah. So you hang out in there until they call your color. And when they call your color, you go just wait in a very short line.
And
to
all
get
that's
in.
very fun. Like I said,
Yeah.
the past couple of times we've went, not getting to do any of that and going straight onto the ride is not very fun. Listening to the Roots do the pre-ride instructions,
That's
it
funny.
becomes my favorite part of the ride when we don't get to do the actual
Yeah.
waiting in the queue.
Yeah, I cheered for that this past time, like as if they were really live.
There with us, yes. So we've learned from this deposition that Fallon ranks in the middle. Doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
We got a little tiny glimpse into the way their blue sky process and project management goes, and dealing with ride manufacturers and things like that. And then we learned that Fast and the Furious is a shitty ride, and that doesn't surprise
Do we
any
want to
of us.
talk about? Do we want to discuss Fast and the Furious in any way at this point?
I feel like we could. No, let's hold off on that until we're talking about our least favorite rides at Universal episode.
Yeah.
Not even just the sad, dead eyes of the poor people that have to work on that ride. That was the saddest thing ever for me. Like, we were there, we were being polite, we weren't being, like, totally sarcastic that we were there riding it. And we did have one person with us who had never rode it before. I just felt like the employees, like, they totally know.
They know.
Yeah. I
They
felt
know
like
how
that,
much
too.
everybody doesn't like it, and they also know they see a lot of people that come in that have no idea that they're not going to like it, but they know that these people aren't going to like it.
The difference in enthusiasm and participation from the queue staff and the show staff leading up to that ride when we first rode it, when it was still in previews and very popular, compared to now when it's not as popular, it's night and day. You're right.
Yeah.
They seem dead inside.
That, I always think back to that. We were there during the preview times where we were looking at our app constantly, wherever we were in the park, to see if it was open. Because it would open like at various parts of the day, just on and off. And when we finally got it, that we were close enough, we boogied on over there. And of course, everybody was very excited and
Oh, yeah.
enthusiastic. And the live actors, they're great
Yep.
either way. Like, they do a great job.
The queue for that ride is good too.
I like it. Yeah, I do
I
like
love
that.
it.
I like
Yeah.
that cue. All right. So I think that wraps up episode 3. What do you guys think? Anything else this time around? No?
Yeah, that
No.
was great.
What's the moral of the story?
Go to
Don't ride Fast and
Margaritaville.
Furious.
Don't ride Fast and Furious.
Go to Margaritaville and have dinner. Enjoy the boat drinks. God's own drunk, fearless man.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to episode 3 of the Universal Family Podcast. Don't forget to add and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast was recorded at Big River Media. For more information about them, go to bigriver.media. Our show music is by Spencer Elliott. You can hear more from Spencer and purchase his music at spencerelliott.net. You can also contact us by visiting ufpodcast.com.
So, folks, thanks for joining in the ride. I'll see you outside. Hey, hey, hey.